it says the impact could be far-reaching and even impact labor and industrial relations as Bahamians will begin demanding relief and better pay. Well, this evening I'm joined by, in this segment, Cassius Stuart, who is a businessman and leader of the Bahamas Democratic Movement, pardon me, and he has been monitoring this global trend and its effect on the Bahamas for quite some time. In fact, you've spoken right here on this show about that, kind of almost preparing us for what's ahead. And then now to hear the former Minister of Finance, James Smith, and Governor of the Central Bank kind of address it in very vivid terms, it really brings it home.
Yes. You know, we're trying to find ways to sound the alarm to let people know what's the oncoming crisis. You know, we just got out of it. We're still basically on the tail end of a major viral pandemic. And we're head first into a financial pandemic. This financial pandemic has been spurred on by the global shipping crisis, which has caused commodities to explode in terms of pricing.
You've been talking about that global shipping crisis, and we have seen the headlines, of course, but for months now. Is that still exactly where it was months ago when you started?
It has not gotten any better. And in fact, it is getting worse. What is really happening now, we're just in the middle of it. You know, the issue we're facing now is that we have an economy that relies so much on import, not only on commodities and goods, but also on people coming in to provide resources for us in terms of tourism. You know, I think when you look at where we are now and what we're facing, I think we need to rethink this whole thing of the economy. We have to rethink our economy because it is not working. Over the last 45 years, we've built an economy. And this economy that we have built, we are now at a full stop where the former governor of the central bank can say that, listen, we are having some serious problems. In other words, what we have done in the past did not work. Can we rethink what we're doing now? Right now we have, you know, I'm talking futuristic. Right now we have this major crisis. The crisis is that nobody got any disposable income. Disposable income is extra money you have to be able to do what you need to do for savings. But if you're working on minimum wage, prices at the food stores went up, how do you save? You know, the governor of the central bank always talking about most Bahamians don't save. The problem is they ain't got nothing to save.
I saw a headline today or yesterday. The present governor saying that people are borrowing to save.
Yes, but there is no money to save. Because the economy that we have built over the last 40 years has not really worked for the average Bahamian. It has worked for some people, mind you, but it's not really worked for the average Bahamian. We need to rethink the economy. Right now we have the global e-commerce market, which is $4.2 trillion, right? And I've been talking about this over the last several months. We have to find ways where the average Bahamian can get access to the global e-commerce market. That's $4.2 trillion.
Right.
We are 30 minutes away from the largest economy ever made, the United States. But Bahamians don't have access to that market. And you're right, because the accessibility is easy enough, yet it isn't, because there are so many blockages from preventing Bahamians from accessing. And you're right, it is the most lucrative economy right now, that e-commerce case in point, we got the central bank has not really authorized ACH payments, right? ACH, automatic clearinghouse payments. Right now, when I sell books on Amazon, I cannot get my money into my bank in Scotiabank because there's no rules. The rule prohibits monies coming from U.S. to the Bahamas. But they could take my money from the Bahamas to them, but they can't send it back. We need to open up the gates to allow the flow of monies coming back and forth.
Take the handcuffs off, because there are people who want to be able to sort of create their own economy, eh?
You have different currencies now. You got cryptocurrency. You got the government of the central bank talking about sand dollar and all these different currencies out there. But central bank has not allowed Bahamians to play in that market yet because it's still regulated, over-regulated. We have to begin to now look at the new economy. The new economy is digital currency. The problem is Bahamians ain't got no currency at all. You're talking about digital currency. And so we have to be able to say, listen, we're going over into the new world. The new world is that we have to let Bahamians through e-commerce access the new market, because tourism ain't going to do it. For the next 40 years, we will only create what we have now. Simple. We have, what, 7 million
that's like
to
going
it?
around, that's like a hamster going around this one wheel and ain't going nowhere.
It worked for some people, mind you. Some people have benefited greatly from it.
And it has.
But the average and the masses of the people, it has not worked for them. And so because it doesn't work for them, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over. Let's tap into the global e-commerce market. Let Bahamians tap into stocks. Let them tap into cryptocurrency, digital currency, so that now, at least at some point, if they can't generate revenues in the Bahamas, they generated revenues from around the world. It comes back into the Bahamas, and however the government wants to add a little small tax on that, they could do that. But at least they have something to tax. But right now, the Bahamas, the Bahamians don't have no money. When the governor of the central bank could say that, well, I mean, 90% of all account holders got what? Less than 90 days worth in case of emergency, or less than $300 in it. That means 90% of the account holders don't have no money. Why do you think Scotia and Royal and the rest of them pulling out of the family islands? Because ain't no money in their accounts in the first place. And so we got to build a new economy. I think the new leaders are demanding that we build a new economy where it works for all Bahamians.
For all.
It's not necessarily a socialist economy, but an economy where the pie touches everybody. Government contracts could be treated differently. We need to create regulations where we could spread the wealth. We could spread it out to people who are qualified so that just one set of people can't get everything. We need to make sure that at the end of the day, the average Bahamian can go home to pay their bills, pay their mortgages, and take care of their families. Right now, that is not happening. And right now, as we go further into 2022, we're going to find that more people are now being either losing their homes, losing their families, because everything is held up by money.
Well, talk about being overtaxed. Like the people in Grand Bahama, they feel that way with the talk of the unapproved increase in electricity bills come April.
Yeah, I mean, Grand Bahama's always had that problem. Grand Bahama's always had that problem. You know, there's no method to the madness of the Grand Bahama Power Company. They just wake up tomorrow and they want to increase the utility rates. You know, so that is something that has to be addressed, but it's a private company. And we've already turned powers over to them. I'm not sure if ERCA can get involved and say, listen, we got to regulate it. But, you know, that's a private company, and that's what we married to. And so, but we cannot allow the people of Grand Bahama to suffer because they've been suffering for so long. You have no money, you have no income, you have no economy, but yet still everything else is going up.
Yeah.
And so we have to fix this across the board. When you look at islands from Inagua and Crooked Island, Cat Island, you know, there are basically no economies in these islands, but they still have bills to pay. And so if we don't have the traditional economy, let's create a virtual economy.
Right.
You know, a virtual economy through the internet so that people in Cat Island, they don't have to come to Nassau. They could go online, build websites, sell products, sell services, and get money sent back to them.
And that virtual economy is the most thriving globally right now.
$4.2 trillion.
Absolutely.
And then you got
I heard Les Brown talk about it during the last year, and I paid attention to it. I mean, I don't know why I'm slow in acting, but I certainly know about that virtual economy. Absolutely.
Well, you know, right now most Bahamians don't have land in the universe. Right now, people are selling land in the metaverse. And so now the metaverse is coming on stream, which is another 20, 30 years out for Bahamians to participate in that. But, you know, all these things we're talking about is real, it's now. And Bahamians can access these particular avenues to generate revenue, to generate wealth for themselves. However, if we shut the gate, though, if we shut the gate through the financial sector, Bahamians can't get the money back in. And so, you know, you can't have a U.S. bank account because that's illegal. And so, but, you know, but also if you're generating revenue in the U.S., you can't bring the money into the Bahamas. And so you have to give Bahamians access to the international market. Scotiabank Canada, Scotiabank around the world allow for ACH payments in Canada. Royal Bank Canada allows for ACH payment in Canada, but they don't do it in the Bahamas. And so if I build a website, I'm selling products and services, I can't get my money in the Bahamas.
It's a stifling of...
And so we have to fix that problem.
It's a stifling of the growth and independence of a people, I feel.
Listen, $4.2 trillion is in the global e-commerce market. It is projected to go up again this year, right? We have to begin to participate at that level because tourism cannot sustain us. To live in the Bahamas is very, very expensive.
Extremely.
It's extremely expensive.
You understand that rent, on average, is $1,000 a month, and maybe that's at the low end.
I know. It's very expensive to live. I went to the grocery store the other day, and you know, I bought about 6 or 7 items. The woman told me $150. I asked her, what I buy? I mean, what did I buy, miss?
I had a similar experience this week.
And so, but you understand that your dollar is not really a dollar anymore because 10% is already gone through VAT. And then when you're looking at now the average inflation, if inflation now is what 5%, well, I'm not sure what the numbers are, but as inflation increases, the value of the dollar decreases because your buying power is now decreased. And
I was about to ask you about disposable income and the impact on families individually and then the overall economy. How is that going to look, or how is it looking?
Well, the problem is sometimes we have a strain on the family because when you can't provide for your family because you don't have the income, first of all, it makes a man feel less than a man, and then when the woman put the pressure on the man to provide, and he can't provide, you end up doing things that you don't want to do just to be able to provide, and so that is a pressure that's coming. But I think what really needs to happen is I said this on the last show. We got to find ways to conserve. You cannot splurge if you don't have it, and or everybody who's been splurging, just cut back a bit. Live your life, enjoy your money, but cut back a bit. Instead of buying 10 items, buy 2, buy 3. And so you got to find ways of savings. The only problem is that the last time I was on the show, when the government said they're going to reduce VAT, insurance went up. So the insurance companies are hiking up their prices. And then the electricity companies are hiking up their prices. So everybody else trying to find a way to squeeze you when you're trying to hold on to your little piece yourself. And so at the end of the day, the minimum wage of $2.10, you end up with absolutely nothing, just enough to borrow, to go back to work the next week, to do the same cycle over and over for the next 20 years.
Continue repeating and then to start being squeezed by the bill collectors. Let's talk about the growing unemployment numbers. That is now starting to be a challenge, or perhaps it has been for a minute now. But just to hear new people being added to next month, the 150 plus workers at the British Colonial Hilton Hotel will join the unemployment line.
Yes. Well, you see, the measure of unemployment is very interesting. You only measure unemployment by people who are actively seeking a job. So if you are not seeking a job, you are not considered unemployed. So they don't include you in the statistics. And so when you hear employment is X amount %, that's only those who are actively seeking. So the employment rate really, technically in real terms, is much higher than what they're really saying. And so, we have to find ways of true entrepreneurship, through different avenues to get people back on their feet, whether it be starting their own business. And I know that the government had started an interesting program to small businesses. I think that was a good initiative. Continue to push that. Also, too, everybody ain't going to be able to start their own business. Some people need a job. We need to continue training people with soft skills because, the problem, to be frank, most young people in the Bahamas, they don't necessarily want to work. They want pay, but they don't want to work.
Well, that's a different thing altogether, yes.
And so the challenge that we face in the business sector is that hiring people who don't really want to work. They come to work and they're on their phone all day. They WhatsApp and texting all day. But as a businessman, you have to have what they call an ROI on your employee, a return on investment. And so if I'm paying you $500 a week, I need to get $700 worth out of you that week. But you probably only get about $50 worth. And so
that's another challenge. The fact that we are now not even up to the standard of where the rest of the world is in terms of being productive and effective and efficient on a job. So
education is the key. Education underpins all of this. So once we could educate them in the public sector, private sector, in our schools, and also have our non-governmental organizations educating and training in soft skills so that when they get into the workforce, they're more productive. They take a different perspective on it. But right now it's so casual, it's so cavalier that nobody really takes it seriously.
And do you think even now, with a James Smith speaking out, a respected financial voice, that we are still not taking it seriously? And there are no steps being made and that kind of thing?
See, the problem is when James Smith speaks, he speaks to a certain demographics, and that demographics will listen. Because, of course, now we're in a financial crisis. But the people in the ghetto, they've been in financial crisis for the last 20 years. So when you say the economy crashing, it already crashed because I never had nothing. And so your words don't really mean much to me because my situation been crashed a long time.
What is the way forward? I mean, I like to always be optimistic. I always like to kind of just lift everyone up. What is the way forward from here? Well,
the way forward is I outlined some things that the government can do to mitigate the shipping crisis. We can readjust the way we tax goods on import. Just tax the commodity, don't tax the shipping. And then VAT is a double tax on import. So when you see VAT on goods coming into the country, the VAT is taxed on the duty, the shipping, and the commodity. And so there's a double tax. So if you could just tax the commodity, at least a couple of dollars can be passed on to the consumer. In addition to that, we have to begin to look at how do we now give Bahamians the access to penetrate the global e-commerce market, international markets, because the only way, I mean, the problem is money. There's money out there.
There's money out there.
No money left the planet.
No.
None. So if you give them access to the money, then they will be able to make decisions to make their lives better.
Right.
And so I think the government needs to be proactive. I think our government just needs to now scratch with everything we got, forget this model that we have, and rethink everything. Let's do something different.
Start fresh.
Let's start afresh. We can build the new Bahamas demand that we think different, that we do different, that we be different. And so productivity, our thinking got to be different. So the new Bahamas in the next 20 years got to demand that we think differently.
Yeah, I thank you, Cassius Stuart. I always enjoy discussing particularly this issue that we see is already a major issue around the world, and we in the Bahamas must pay attention and adjust and readjust.
Absolutely.
Certainly. And so I thank you very much for stopping by and discussing this very, very important issue
all
here on Beyond the Headlines.
Anytime.
Thank you very, very much. When we come back, a minute of inspiration, to uplift you with Mount Tabor Church. Stay close.